The underestimation. The vast emptiness of space around the Kepler 442 system had been peaceful for over 3 centuries. Human colonies on the outer rim planets had grown from small outposts into thriving communities. Farmers, miners, and researchers worked together to build new lives far from Earth's crowded cities. They had no idea that their quiet existence was about to change forever. Admiral Thrax of the Vortanian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Dominion. His 6 arms moved gracefully across the control panels as he studied the holographic display showing the human settlements. The Vortanians were an ancient race with technology that had conquered 12 star systems over the past 1,000 years. Their ships were sleek, powerful, and equipped with energy weapons that could destroy entire planets. Thrax's lieutenant, Commander Zextai, approached with a data pad in his clawed hands. "Admiral, our scouts have completed their analysis of the human colonies. The species appears to be relatively primitive. Their technology is at least 2 centuries behind our own." The Admiral's 4 eyes studied the report with amusement. Humans used chemical propulsion for their ships, metal projectiles for weapons, and their largest vessels were barely 1/10 the size of a Vortanian cruiser. "How many military ships do they have in this system?" he asked. "Our sensors detect them. Only 1 significant vessel, Admiral. It appears to be some kind of patrol ship. The humans call it a battleship, but by our standards, it would barely qualify as a transport." Thrax laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "1 ship? They think 1 ship can protect 4 colonies and 20 million people?" He turned to address his bridge crew. "This will be the easiest conquest in Vortanian history." 3,000 kilometers away, Captain Elena Rodriguez stood in the command center of the UHS Defiant, humanity's most advanced battleship. She had served in the Colonial Defense Force for 20 years, rising through the ranks during the mining wars and the Martian Rebellion. Her weathered face and steady hands told the story of a career spent in the darkness between stars. Dr. Sarah Chen, the ship's xenobiologist and strategic advisor, burst into the command center holding a tablet. "Elena, we've got a problem. The long-range sensors are picking up massive energy signatures approaching from the edge of the system. These aren't human ships." Captain Rodriguez took the tablet and studied the data. 12 enormous vessels were moving toward the inner planets at incredible speed. Their energy output was beyond anything in human records. "How long until they reach the colonies?" "At their current speed, about 18 hours, but Elena, there's something else. We've been receiving strange transmissions for the past 6 hours. The computer finally decoded them. It's a message addressed to what they call the primitive human settlements." Rodriguez activated the main display screen. The image that appeared showed a tall, elegant creature with 4 arms and multiple eyes. When it spoke, the translation software converted its words into standard English. "I am Admiral Thrax of the Vortanian Empire. Your species has been evaluated and found suitable for integration into our civilization. You will evacuate all military personnel from this system within 48 hours. Your colonies will be placed under Vortanian protection and governance. Resistance will be met with immediate destruction." The message ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Lieutenant Marcus Cole, the weapons specialist, was the first to speak. "Captain, are they serious? They want us to just leave?" Rodriguez studied the tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. Each ship was larger than any human vessel ever built. Their technology was clearly superior. Any reasonable military commander would consider evacuation, but Elena Rodriguez had not become captain of humanity's flagship by being reasonable. "Marcus, what's our current weapons status?" "All systems operational, Captain. We've got 36 kinetic cannons, 12 missile tubes, and full armor plating. Our reactor is running at optimal efficiency." Dr. Chen looked concerned. "Elena, their ships are massive. Our intelligence suggests they have energy weapons that could vaporize us from a distance we can't even reach with our projectile weapons." Rodriguez walked to the large viewing window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 20 million humans were going about their daily lives, unaware that an alien empire had just claimed ownership of their homes. She thought about the farmers on New Colorado, the research station on Haven Prime, The mining families on Kepler 4 Moritu-C. These people had come to the outer rim to build something new, something free. Send a message to all colony governors, she said finally. Tell them to prepare their emergency protocols but to continue normal operations. Then get me a direct channel to this Admiral Thrax. Captain, you're not actually going to surrender, are you? Marcus asked. Rodriguez smiled for the first time that day. No, Lieutenant, I'm going to make him an offer he'll never forget. 30 minutes later, the communication system crackled to life. Admiral Thrax's image appeared on the main screen, his 4 eyes showing mild curiosity. I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United Human Systems Colonial Defense Force. I received your message, Admiral, and I have a response. Thrax leaned forward in his command chair. Excellent. You are prepared to withdraw your forces and allow peaceful integration of your colonies? Actually, Admiral, I have a counteroffer. You have 48 hours to leave this system and return to wherever you came from. If you refuse, I will be forced to remove your fleet myself. The silence that followed was deafening. On the Vortanian flagship, every crew member stared at the communication screen in disbelief. Commander Zextai checked his sensors twice to make sure he hadn't missed something. Admiral, he whispered, their ship is barely 300 meters long. We could destroy it with our point defense systems. But Thrax was studying the human captain's face. He had conquered many species over the centuries, and he recognized something in her eyes that made him pause. It wasn't fear or desperation. It was the look of a predator sizing up prey. Captain Rodriguez, he said slowly, you command 1 ship against 12. Your weapons are primitive projectile systems against our advanced energy arrays. Your armor is simple metal against our plasma cannons. Are you perhaps not understanding the situation? Rodriguez crossed her arms and looked directly into the camera. Admiral, I think you're the one who doesn't understand the situation. You see, you've just threatened human civilians. In our culture, that's what we call a mistake. Thrax's bridge crew exchanged glances. The human's confidence was unsettling. Very well, Captain, you have made your choice. In 48 hours, when your ship is debris and your colonies are under Vortanian control, remember that you had the opportunity to avoid this. The communication ended, leaving the bridge of the Defiant in tense silence. Dr. Chen was the first to speak. Elena, what are you planning? Their ships outgun us by a massive margin. Rodriguez walked to her command chair and sat down. Sarah, tell me about their technology. What do you know about their weapons and tactics? From what our sensors can determine, they use directed energy weapons, probably plasma or particle beams. Very efficient, very accurate, but they require enormous amounts of power. Their ships are built around massive reactors and energy distribution systems. And their tactics? Standard for most advanced civilizations. They maintain formation, calculate optimal firing solutions, and engage from maximum range. Very mathematical, very precise. Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. Marcus, how many times have humans fought against superior technology? The weapons officer grinned. About every time we've fought, Captain. From crossbows against muskets to fighters against battleships, we've always found a way. Exactly. Sarah, these Vortanians have been conquering primitive species for 1,000 years. They've never faced anyone who fights back effectively. They've forgotten what real war looks like. Dr. Chen looked confused. What do you mean, real war? I mean the kind of fighting humans learned during 10,000 years of constant conflict. They think war is mathematics and technology. We know it's about adaptation, creativity, and the willingness to do whatever it takes to protect what matters. Rodriguez activated the ship's internal communication system. All hands, this is the captain. In 48 hours, we're going to face an alien fleet that thinks it can take our colonies without a fight. They're about to learn that humans don't surrender our homes. We're about to show them what happens when you threaten human families. The next 2 days passed in frantic preparation. The Defiant moved to a position between the alien fleet and the inner planets. Rodriguez and her crew worked around the clock, preparing for a battle that every tactical computer said they couldn't win. Dr. Chen spent hours analyzing the alien ship configurations, looking for weaknesses. Marcus Cole and his weapons teams ran constant drills preparing for combat scenarios that had never been attempted. The entire crew knew they were facing overwhelming odds, but not a single person suggested retreat. As the deadline approached, Admiral Thrax watched the human ship position itself directly in his fleet's path. He had to admire the captain's courage, even if it was foolish. The single human vessel looked tiny compared to his massive warships. "All ships, prepare for engagement," he ordered. "Target the human vessel and fire on my command. This will be quick and clean." But as the Vortanian fleet moved into attack formation, something unexpected happened. The human ship didn't retreat to maximum range or try to escape. Instead, it accelerated directly toward the alien fleet at full speed. "What are they doing?" Commander Zextai asked in confusion. Thrax stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The human ship was charging straight at his fleet, closing the distance that should have been to his advantage. It was either suicide or the most audacious tactical maneuver he had ever witnessed. "Admiral," his weapons officer reported, "they're moving too fast for accurate targeting. Should we fire?" But Thrax hesitated. In 1,000 years of conquest, no enemy had ever charged directly at his fleet. Something about the human captain's tactics felt wrong, like a predator walking into what should be a trap. "Hold fire," he ordered. "Let's see what they're planning." The UHS Defiant streaked through space toward the alien fleet, its engines burning at maximum output. On the bridge, Captain Rodriguez sat calmly in her command chair, watching the distance counter tick down. "Range to target?" she asked. 15,000 kilometers and closing fast," Marcus reported. "They're not firing yet." "Good. They're confused. They've never seen anyone charge a superior force before." Rodriguez opened a channel to the engine room. "Chief, I need everything you've got." "You've got it, Captain. We're running at 110% capacity." Rodriguez smiled grimly. The real fight was about to begin, and she was betting everything on human unpredictability, defeating alien mathematics. The Reckoning. The Vortanian fleet hung in space like a constellation of metal stars, their weapons trained on the approaching human vessel. Admiral Thrax had seen many battles in his long career, but he had never seen an enemy ship charge directly, at overwhelming odds. His tactical computers were running calculations, but they couldn't predict what the humans were planning. "Distance to target?" he asked his bridge crew. 10,000 kilometers and closing rapidly," came the reply. "Admiral, they're within our weapons range now. Should we fire?" Thrax studied the tactical display with growing unease. The human ship was small and fast, but it was still just one vessel against 12. Yet something about Captain Rodriguez's confidence bothered him. No commander would throw away their ship and crew without a plan. "All ships, prepare to fire on my command," he ordered. "But wait for my signal. I want to see what they're doing." On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Rodriguez watched the alien fleet grow larger on the main screen. Her crew was focused and ready, each person knowing their role in what was about to happen. Dr. Chen monitored the alien ship formations, looking for the tactical opportunity they had discussed. "Elena, their ships are maintaining perfect formation," she reported. "Just like we predicted. They're spacing themselves exactly as their computers calculated for maximum firepower coverage." Rodriguez nodded. "Marcus, are the special packages ready?" Lieutenant Cole grinned from his weapons station. "All 36 kinetic cannons loaded with surprise rounds, Captain. The aliens are going to get an education in human engineering." "Range to target?" 5,000 kilometers. "We're almost in their energy weapon range." Rodriguez opened a channel to the engineering section. "Chief, I need you to start the light show in 30 seconds. "Understood, Captain. The aliens won't know what hit them." The human battleship continued its impossible charge toward the Vortanian fleet. At 3,000 kilometers, Admiral Thrax finally gave the order to fire. 12 massive alien warships opened up with their energy weapons, sending streams of superheated plasma across space toward the tiny human vessel. But something went wrong. The plasma beams, which should have vaporized the human ship instantly, seemed to bend and scatter around it. The Defiant flew through the energy barrage completely undamaged, still accelerating toward the alien fleet. "What just happened?" Thrax demanded from his bridge crew. Unknown, Admiral. Our weapons fired correctly, but something deflected them. The human ship appears to have some kind of shield technology we didn't detect. Commander Zextai studied his sensor readings with growing amazement. Admiral, they're not using energy shields. They're using some kind of magnetic field manipulation. The field is bending our plasma streams around their ship. On the Defiant, Chief Engineer Roberts smiled as he watched his improvised magnetic field generator work perfectly. Captain, the magnetic deflection system is holding. Their energy weapons can't touch us as long as we keep moving. Rodriguez keyed her communicator. Outstanding work, Chief. Marcus, are we in range? 1,500 kilometers and closing. We're in perfect position. All hands prepare for combat maneuvers. Sarah, give me a target analysis. Dr. Chen's fingers flew over her console. Elena, their lead ship is the command vessel. If we can take it out, it'll disrupt their entire formation. But their armor is incredibly thick. Not a problem. Marcus, load the penetrator rounds and target their command ship's reactor section. The kinetic cannons of the Defiant swiveled to track the massive Vortanian flagship. But these weren't ordinary projectile weapons. Human engineers had spent decades perfecting kinetic penetrator technology, creating rounds that could punch through any known armor using pure velocity and mass. Target locked, Marcus reported. Firing solution calculated. Fire. The human battleship unleashed its full kinetic barrage at point-blank range. 36 tungsten penetrator rounds shot across space at incredible velocity, each one carrying the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon. The round struck the Vortanian flagship's hull and punched through its advanced armor like paper. Admiral Thrax felt his ship shudder as the human projectiles tore through multiple decks. Emergency alarms screamed across the bridge as critical systems failed. "Damage report," he shouted. "Multiple hull breaches on decks 12 through 18. Reactor containment is holding, but barely. We've lost main engines and half our weapon systems." The Admiral stared at his tactical display in shock. One salvo from the primitive human ship had crippled his flagship. How is that possible? Their weapons are just metal projectiles. Commander Zextai was frantically analyzing the damage. "Admiral, those weren't standard kinetic rounds. They were using some kind of advanced penetrator technology. The projectiles were designed specifically to defeat energy-based armor systems. But the human ship wasn't finished. Captain Rodriguez had used the confusion to position her vessel for the next phase of her attack. Marcus, launch the hunter-killer packages. The Defiant opened multiple launch bays, releasing dozens of small, fast-moving objects that scattered throughout the Vortanian formation. The aliens initially thought they were missiles, but these devices were something much more dangerous. Each hunter-killer package was a small, autonomous robot designed to attach to enemy ships and cause maximum damage. They had been developed during humanity's colonial wars, where outnumbered human forces had to fight larger, better-equipped enemies. The packages flew through the alien formation like a swarm of metal insects. They attached themselves to the Vortanian ships' hulls and began cutting through armor with high-powered plasma torches. Within minutes, the alien vessels were suffering system failures throughout their fleets. "Admiral, we have multiple breaches on all ships," came the panicked report from the fleet commander. "These devices are cutting through our hulls and attacking our internal systems. Our computers can't track them all." Thrax watched his perfect formation dissolve into chaos as his ships tried to defend against weapons they had never encountered. The humans weren't fighting like any civilized species he had conquered. They were using tactics that seemed to ignore all established rules of space combat. "All ships fall back to defensive positions," he ordered. "Recalculate firing solutions and prepare for organized response." But Captain Rodriguez had anticipated this move. She had studied the Vortanian tactical patterns and knew they would try to regroup. "Sarah, are they doing what we expected?" "Exactly as predicted, Elena. They're trying to form a defensive sphere formation. Classic Galactic standard tactics." "Perfect. Marcus, are the gravity mines in position?" "Deployed and armed, Captain. They're right where the aliens want to regroup." The Vortanian fleet moved to form their defensive formation. But as they reached the predetermined coordinates, space around them suddenly became distorted. The gravity mines that the Defiant had deployed created artificial gravity wells that pulled the alien ships off course and into each other. Two Vortanian cruisers collided in the artificial gravity field, their hulls crumpling like paper. A third ship was pulled into a gravitational spiral that sent it spinning out of control. The perfect alien formation became a tangle of damaged vessels fighting against forces they couldn't understand. "What kind of weapons are these?" Thrax demanded. "They're manipulating gravity itself." Commander Zextai was studying the human ship with new respect. "Admiral, I don't think we're fighting a primitive species. Their technology is different from ours, but it's not inferior. They've developed weapons specifically designed to counter our advantages." On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Rodriguez watched the alien fleet struggle against her carefully planned attack, but she wasn't finished yet. "All hands, prepare for final assault. We're going to end this." The human battleship accelerated toward the disabled Vortanian flagship. As it approached, the ship's hull began to transform. Hidden armor plates slid aside, revealing weapon systems that the aliens had never seen before. "Elena, what are you doing?" Dr. Chen asked in amazement. "Showing them what a real human warship looks like," Rodriguez replied. The Defiant wasn't just a battleship, Sarah. It was a weapons testing platform. Every new technology humanity developed was installed on this ship. The transformed battleship unleashed technologies that defied everything the Vortanians thought they knew about human capabilities. Quantum torpedoes that phased through solid matter before exploding inside enemy ships, plasma cannons that rivaled the aliens' own energy weapons, and kinetic barriers that made the ship nearly invulnerable to attack. Admiral Thrax watched, his fleet being systematically destroyed by weapons that shouldn't exist. The humans had hidden their true capabilities, allowing the Vortanians to underestimate them completely. "Admiral," Commander Zextai said quietly, "we need to withdraw. We cannot win this battle." For the first time in his long military career, Thrax felt the bitter taste of defeat. His fleet was crippled, his flagship was dying, and the single, human ship that had seemed so insignificant was proving to be more dangerous than an entire battle group. "Signal retreat," he ordered. "All ships withdraw to safe distance." But Captain Rodriguez opened a communication channel before the aliens could escape. Her image appeared on the Vortanian bridge, and Thrax was surprised to see that she showed no satisfaction in her victory, only grim determination. "Admiral Thrax," she said, "your fleet is defeated, but I'm not interested in destroying you. I want you to understand something. Humans don't start wars, but we finish them. You came here thinking we were primitive and weak. You learned that we're neither." Thrax looked at the human captain with newfound respect. "Captain Rodriguez, your tactics were unexpected. Your technology is far more advanced than we believed." "Our technology is different, Admiral. We've spent 10,000 years fighting wars, and we've learned that the best weapon isn't always the biggest or most powerful. Sometimes it's the one your enemy doesn't expect." The Vortanian admiral studied his damaged fleet and considered his options. "What do you propose, Captain?" "You withdraw from this system and never return. In exchange, I'll provide assistance to repair your ships and ensure your safe passage home. But if you ever threaten human colonies again, you'll face the entire colonial defense force, and I promise you, Admiral, the Defiant is not our most powerful ship." Thrax felt a chill run through his body. If this vessel was not humanity's strongest warship, then his empire had gravely miscalculated the threat humans represented. "Agreed, Captain. We will withdraw and report to our government that humans are not suitable for conquest. Make sure you tell them why, Admiral. Tell them that humans fight for our families, our homes, and our freedom, and we never surrender." The communication ended, and the Vortanian fleet began its retreat. As they limped away from the Kepler 442 system, Admiral Thrax composed his report to the Empire's High Command. For the first time in Vortanian history, a conquest had failed completely. Commander Zextai approached his superior with a thoughtful expression. "Admiral, what did we learn from this encounter?" Thrax looked at the image of the human battleship on his screen. "We learned that advanced technology means nothing without the will to use it creatively. The humans didn't defeat us with superior weapons, they defeated us with superior thinking. Will the Empire try to conquer them again? Not if I have anything to say about it, Commander. The humans have earned something we rarely give to other species. What's that, Admiral? Respect. Back on the Defiant, Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge watching the alien fleet disappear into hyperspace. Dr. Chen joined her at the observation window. Elena, do you think we'll see them again? Rodriguez considered the question carefully. I think we've made our point, Sarah. The galaxy now knows that humans are not easy prey. Word will spread that we're not a species to be underestimated. What happens now? Now we rebuild and prepare. The Vortanians weren't the only empire out there. Sooner or later, we'll encounter other species who think humans are primitive and weak. When that happens, we'll be ready. Lieutenant Cole approached with a damage report. Captain, we took some hits, but nothing critical. The ship is combat ready. Rodriguez smiled. Good work, everyone. Send a message to the colonies that the threat has passed. And Marcus, send a report to Earth Command. Tell them the Outer Rim is secure, and humanity has announced its presence to the galaxy. As the Defiant began its patrol of the system, Captain Rodriguez reflected on the battle. The Vortanians had learned that humans were not the primitive species they appeared to be. But more importantly, they had learned that humanity's greatest weapon was not its technology, but its determination to protect what mattered most. The stars stretched endlessly in all directions, full of unknown civilizations and potential threats. But Rodriguez felt confident that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them with the same courage and ingenuity that had won this battle. The galaxy had been put on notice. Humanity was no longer hiding in the shadows of the Outer Rim. They had announced their presence with kinetic rounds and quantum torpedoes, and the message was clear. Humans were not conquered easily. As the battleship continued its patrol, the crew prepared for whatever came next, knowing that they had proven themselves capable of defending their homes against any threat. The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun, and it would be an age defined by courage, creativity, and the unshakable human spirit that refused to surrender.